Green screen. Okay, now they're in pin to live stream. What is that? Quick share. We're not doing that. Good morning, Lola. Okay. I don't know what happened. Maybe I need to update my app. Who knows? Okay. Let me go ahead and go off camera so we can get our breathing done. We're going to do 3 inhales and exhales, inhales and exhales, inhales and exhales, just to let the brain know we can brain learn. On my descending count of 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead and get this neural party started. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, journeys as well. Before I come on camera, let me just go ahead and review this. There are 5 levels to real leadership. Level 1 starts on Good Morning Daisy on Instagram at a 7-day free trial. When you have successfully done 60-second Neuro Reps for 7 consecutive days, you will be invited to level up to level 2, where you will conduct 30 consecutive days of 60-second Neuro Reps. Upon successful completion of that, you will be invited to level up to level 3. Level 3 is on YouTube, where you will conduct Neuro Reps daily for 90 consecutive days. After 90 consecutive days, you will be invited to level up to level 4, where you will do doctrine, real leader principles, as well as other Neuro Reps to strengthen both your prefrontal cortex and your real leadership skill set. Upon 180 consecutive days of level 4, you will then receive the ultimate. Okay, Jared, thanks for letting me know. Got it. You will receive the ultimate invite, and that is level 5, where you will be doing RL 365 or Real Leader Resources. It is in your daily. Strengthening your brain is in your daily. Going from an untrained brain to a trained brain, from dysregulation to regulation, is a neurological choice that you need to consecutively make day in and day out. That is how it is done. Now, let me get to what we're talking about today. We are talking about the subgenual, and I'm going to say it wrong. Let me go back, and y'all going to hear me because I have been practicing this my whole morning and still ain't got it. So we're going to practice this together. Subgenual. Subgenual. Let's see.
Subgenual.
Subgenual. There we go. And now, subgenual. So now y'all know. Subgenual ACC is what we are talking about today. Subgenual ACC. It's going to be like 5 days before this. My brain, not my little orthographic process center, is like, what the hell is that? Okay. So we started talking about the ACC many months ago. That's the anterior cingulate cortex. It's the Good Morning Regina conflict monitor, named her Miss Brenda Jones. Instinctively, I realized that Miss Brenda Jones wasn't always there for us, so we had Becky with the good hair come in. And now that we are finished with the Let Me portion of the 74 Principles of Real Leadership, there are 3 major aspects to the ACC. So what you have is the ventral ACC, then you have the subgenual ACC, and then you have the dorsal ACC / cognitive ACC. Those 2 go together, the where and the what. So today, I'm going to make probably a not so good attempt, and we'll continue to research this. We need this information. I will continue to research it behind the scenes and inculcate this information throughout our morning mental workout so that we get it. Today is a high-level overview. If I can answer your question today, I will answer it. Again, I'm learning this in real time right along with you. So the subgenual ACC is actually real. It's actually separate. And so it is distinct and very relevant to everything that I've actually been unpacking about these emotional loops. Because remember, this is how we got here from my mother saying, you can't make no money doing that. You can't make no money doing that. Why is it so emotional? Why is everybody so emotional? So yes, there's things going on in the limbic system. However, the ACC got a role to be played in your emotional dysregulation as well. And so relationship jeopardy and why some patterns feel so hard to interrupt. Why do I keep going back to this no-nothing relationship? Why can't I leave this job? Why can't I just walk away from my family? What is this attachment that's just keep, as Al Pacino said in I was about to say Level 3 in Godfather 3, every time I try to leave, they keep pulling me back and so what is this thing that is pulling you back? And it is the subgenual ACC. I'm going to just start saying sgACC. So here is what it actually does. Think of the sgACC as the brain's emotional climate regulator, the environment. So it integrates this deep emotional tone, sadness, grief, attachment, and pain. And it maintains a baseline of the moods that you set. So it's the baseline. So it's strongly connected to, wait for it, Amy and Lala, the hypothalamus and the brainstem's automatic center. So that implicit nature that you just do things at. And so this means it's not just feeling the emotions as the insula alerts us of what is taking place. It's setting the background emotional weather your system operates under. So it is setting the environment, the background. This is where it is for which your emotions operate in that. So if you in a toxic up here in your sgACC, then that emotion is going to be toxic. And I'll talk about depression a little bit more, but that's what everybody is treating when they're treating depression. They're going to the subgenual ACC. Subgenual. So how does this differ from the others? And here is the cleanest separation that I have so far. How does it differ from the ventral ACC? That social bonding that we talked about. You got to have your family and friends. So when you die, they'll be surrounded by you to make sure that you're dead. I mean, no, to tell you how much they loved you, even though they didn't prove it the whole time you was alive. That relationship safety. I'm safe over here with this group of people. I'm safe over here with this group of people. Maybe so, maybe no. That belonging, that approval, and that attachment. Social conformity got people just literally wasting away in these things that are supposed to work that don't work. And it's, am I okay with them? So anytime you're thinking of another person in a relationship, you're social, interacting, socializing, family, friends, everybody. Good morning, Monique. That's your ventral ACC. So if you're around some people, that's your ventral ACC. Now the subgenual ACC is the gravity. It's holding you there. It's that mood persistence. So if it's loss, rejection, relational pain that lingers, you let go of that relationship 30 years ago, but that pain is still lingering there. And so it says, this doesn't feel safe to let go of. This doesn't feel safe to let go of, so let me keep saying this. So if you ever come across somebody who's got the same narrative about, well, back in the day, when I remember when this, that's that sgACC that's just holding on to it, even though they're long gone, people might be dead, they don't talk to each other anymore, but it's still there. You can feel the heaviness of it. And then you have the cognitive and the dorsal ACC together. So it's 3 ACCs, but they are the ventral, the subgenual, and the cognitive. Cognitive and dorsal are together. They're battle buddies. And so this is conflict detection. This don't match. This don't make no sense. Error monitoring. This doesn't add up. What's going on? Let's unpack this right here. And then the course correction. Baby, put that honey bun down. Dr. Donna, put that damn red velvet cupcake down. Stop going to the strip club. Quit spending money. Leave. This isn't working, so you adjust. So again, VACC, social, people. Subgenual ACC, the environment in which your emotions reside. And then your cognitive and dorsal are doing right from wrong. This is correct. This is incorrect. This is a match. This is a mismatch. Now, let me make some adjustments. So why is the sgACC? Why does it matter for adults? And here's why. Because emotional states persist even after conditions change. And I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Donna Louise Thomas-Rodgers, daughter of Leslie Thomas, granddaughter of Arthur Jethro Evelyn, and great-granddaughter of Levi Thomas. My lives are sponsored by the elements H2O. When I say drink water, you drink water. So let's go ahead and get some water in for today. Drink water. And good morning, Monique, if I did. So emotional states persist even after conditions have changed. They are still there. So people stay in dead relationships. They stopped liking each other a long time ago. Invalidating environment. So you are in an environment that doesn't support your growth and development, and you're still there. And outdated identities. I am no longer Dee Dee from the D. I will not be being her. And we just talked about this on a TikTok live as we got off, or I was talking about it, how Juvenile has a new song out called Big Booty Bitch. And T.I. got a new song out talking about what he gonna do, and he a great granddaddy, as far as I'm concerned, he a granddaddy. But these are outdated identities that people keep still holding on to. And they're not doing it because they're weak, but because their emotional baseline never updates. So who they is up here in their environment is who we see out here, even though 30 years has passed. So this aligns perfectly with what I have been observing. Repeated relationship loops, dating the same person again and again and again. Same old family arguments, same old everything. You go get another job at a whole nother different organization in a different industry and everything else, and you just went and picked the same working environment that you left. Fear of disconnection. And so Denise is not on here, but I'll wait until she is. So anyway, when we gave up our television, we had for a minute because I was like, why? This is hard for me. And I realized I just grew up in a television household. It's televisions in every room. And I don't really even watch television. I don't never even had an updated television. We never had the big televisions. Men gave me my televisions. So the big televisions, the new, the flat, whatever. That the last TV I actually did buy, and it was a 32-inch. That was the only TV we had in the house. We got rid of that. Haven't had a television. But it's like, well, what are we going to do now? We don't have a television. We're going to be disconnected from people. Okay, cool. That was a good idea. Hesitation before posting or going live. Anybody have that? Jared, for you, hesitating if Toastmasters. You don't want to be the general evaluator, and you don't want to be the Toastmaster. Hopefully they still have the titles. I know they changed the education program, but those roles, even if they updated it, it's the person that leads the meeting throughout or the person that evaluates the meeting. And then emotional residue after challenges. So you go and do something, but now you're like, I don't think that went well. I don't know. I shouldn't do that no more. So what is happening is that's the sgACC plus the VACCC overpowering cognitive ACC. And so the example that I use for you so we understand, if you have Amy and Lala and they're strong and the prefrontal cortex is weak, you're going to have emotional dysregulation. You're going to be lopsided. You're not going to make good decisions. You're not going to have access to your inhibition control, your cognitive process and working memory, executive function, nothing, because Amy and Lala want immediate gratification and comfort. Basal ganglia is going to be implicit. We're just going to do the same old, same old. So that's the same thing that's happening when you are in a dysregulated environment. So the sgACC and the ventral ACC are up here, and then that cognitive ACC is down here. So haven't got a name yet for the sgACC and the ventral ACC. We're going to call them Becky with the good hair 2.0, 1 and 2. So if you have that, and then you got Miss Brenda Jones down here, it's not going to work because Brenda 1 and 2 aren't going to be able to say, that's not correct. That's the wrong error. Why are you doing that? So they're going to keep staying with people that they shouldn't stay with, being in environments that they shouldn't be in, and keep that program happening even if they physically locate somewhere else. So here is something that we can note from the clinicians. And if you have questions throughout, just go ahead and ask, because I know that this is newer level information. So the sgACC is heavily studied in depression research. Let me say that again. The Subgenual ACC is studied in depression research. And it is a target for deep brain stimulation in treatment-resistant cases. So we have an ACC that creates an emotional environment, and we're studying depression. Okay. So academics are studying its dysfunction. Okay. Seems like we got a lot of depressed people now. One of the depression numbers of people are higher now than they've ever been before. Why is that? Inspect what you expect. If you expect people to be depressed, you're going to be looking for depressed people. That's what's going to be. We got 700 million people, and I'm just throwing that number out there. I don't know what the hell the number is, so I'm not about to be studying depressed people. So this is what's being studied for depression. I'm depressed. I need to go to therapy. I'm depressed. I need medication. I'm depressed. You okay? You say? I go on to veterans things all the time. If you feel unsafe, you feel like you're going to, unalive yourself, call somebody. Ain't no phone cost, but if you feel like you want to be a bad motherfucker, call somebody and get your bad motherfucking strategy. Doesn't exist. So I'm teaching people how to update that daily through Neuro Rep's cognition and identity work. That's the gap I'm filling. Because, and Monique and Lola and Bridget, if you were on here, perhaps Regina, anybody ever tell y'all about the Subgenual ACC? Have you ever had to go to therapy or anything? Did they say, you know what? Here's what's happening. And here's how we're going to strengthen your sgACC. My first time hearing about it. First time hearing about it. I ain't heard nothing about it at all. I heard Fight or Flight, Amy and Lala. I didn't know there were 3 ACCs. I figured out 2 by myself. I figured out 2 by myself. Amy, Becky with the good hair and Bridget Jones. And that was basically the 2 groups. But they're split. So you got Becky 1 and Becky 2, and then you got Miss Brenda Jones. That's what's happening. Never heard of it at all. Yet somehow we all have created these subgenual ACC environments that we can't let go of. And then we've been told these relationships are important. So we have been told these relationships are important. These people are creating toxicity for us, basically, in a subgenual ACC. And no matter what we try to do to leave, we're taking it with us. Taking it with us. Everywhere we go, the subgenual ACC is there. Keeping that environment depressed, dark, emotional. People be like, your husband died 25 years ago. You ain't ready to date yet? I can't. That's why. Because it's the environment in which your emotions are sitting. It's in that environment. It's the program running in the background all the time. See, yes, ma'am. All the time. It don't have a power off. It's just there. Won't shut off. So here's the real leadership translation. The VACC equals relationship pull. The sgACC is the emotional weight. You just carrying it around. And then the cognitive ACC is the course correction. So high functioning adults don't eliminate emotions. I checked. We can't do that. That's no bueno. We empower the cognitive ACC to override outdated emotional set points. That's not therapy. That's brain literacy plus daily executions, because you got to override it. Well, let's talk about your depression. No, I don't want to fucking talk about my depression. What I want to do is change the narrative. I want to create an environment where depression doesn't exist. Can we do that without medication? In 7 years of therapy. Can we do that? Can we change the environment? If somebody is being domestically abused, what you tell them to do? Get out. Get out of that environment. You don't say, well, let's unpack which side of your face got fucked up today. Did you get punched in the left side or the right side of your face? Did they hit you in the ribs again? You're not doing that. You're saying, leave. Come on. Get to a safe house. Let's get you over here to one of these homes. No, leave all that shit. Don't bring none of that. Just you. Come on. Get out of that environment. But somehow we gonna unpack this environment. Not change it. Well, what are you going to do? Well, the next time you get depressed? No, don't be depressed no more. Well, when depression hits, let's journal about it. Let's not. This shit ain't working. I had a friend for 10 years who was depressed for 10 fucking years. Well, see, Donna, everybody, I suffer from depression. You are going to keep suffering from depression if you keep saying I suffer from depression. You're going to be looking for shit to make you depressed. You're going to keep that loop going in your head. You're not working to get out of it. You want me to sit here with you. I don't like being around depressed people. It's depressing. No. So it's empowerment over here. It's empowerment. So here are some examples in everyday life of what people actually do for the sgACC. I know it's over, but it still hurts like it isn't. I know it's over, but it still hurts like it isn't. Relationship ended months ago and years ago. No contact, no active conflict, but that emotional heaviness still exists and persists. That's not decision failure. That's the sgACC maintaining the emotional baseline. If you look at me, well, you can't because I ain't been live long enough. But me 4 years ago and some months talking about my mother and her husband and my sister is nowhere near as heavy as it was when I first started. I talk about them now as if I'm saying it's 70 degrees outside and the wind is coming from the west, humidity is 3.8%. And that's it. And I don't feel it anymore. Now, it might be some shit that I forgot about that might come up, but overall, I'm no longer saying, God, let all of them die a horrible, miserable death. And I mean painful, like somebody start pulling out their fucking toenails and their fingers and everything, inch by inch. Let them do some Chinese water torture on that motherfucker and let that water drip for about 8 years. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm not praying them prayers no more. I'm not saying that I did, but in case I did, maybe I did a couple nights. Maybe so, maybe no. But I have let that go. And I knew when we saw them recently, and I didn't jump out the car and go bust the windows out their car at that red stoplight, because I could have got to them. I had enough time. I had enough time. And I didn't. That's how I know that environment has changed. They looked small, reductive. So it was a beautiful thing. And Chad said I closed the loop and I was preparing to see them because that week right after Nola got her car, I said, we're going to see them. She said, how are we going to see them? We're not going to see them. And lo and behold, it is less than a quarter mile away from our house. And we was on our way home, minding our own business. And boom, there they were at a light in front of us, cat corner. And nothing. So that heaviness. Secondarily is staying in contact just in case. You can have my number just in case. You already decided the relationship is misaligned, but you keep a nice little weak tether there. Liking post, answering text. Well, they text me today, so I'm going to text them 2 days from now. Leaving the door cracked. Well, if you want to come back, you can. I might come with it. No. That's the SGG saying letting go feels unsafe. Because who are you? For so many years when I was in the military and everywhere else, everybody talking about their family. I knew my family was fucked up back then, but I'm like, shit, everybody got a family. I gotta say something about my family. I thank them raggedy ass motherfuckers in my book. They ain't help with shit, but they there because that's what you do. You thank your family when you write a book. Thank you so much to my family. And finally I said, yeah, no contact. You can go no contact now. 10 years ago, you couldn't go no contact. 20 years ago, you couldn't go. That's your family. Families got to stick together. So I'm stuck like gorilla glue to these dysregulated ass addicts. So I could say I got a family too. Look at them over there. All in they dysregulated shit. Yeah, the one sleep right now on them pills, that's my mama. The one over there talking to the old man because he got some money, that's my whole ass sister. And the one that's up late at night on the internet, that's my mama's husband. Look at him. That's a nucleus ass family. Oh, the one that's calling that collection call that's popping up on the TV because Costa is connected to the phone and the TV, and we got to put some money on his books because he in jail again. That's my nephew, and he's the fourth. You know that legacy matters. That's them. Look at him over there. Yep, I'm proud. I am. I'm so proud. No. If it does not match, you detach. And the sgACC for years, I kept trying to leave, and it kept pulling me back. That's your family. Your mama needs you. You gotta help your sister. You gotta help your nephew. You gotta help with that. You gotta help with that. You gotta help with that. Why? Wasn't nobody pulling me out of shit. Well, nobody pulling me out of shit. Not long term, not long lasting. Not at all. How old am I and I'm the youngest? How? So you gotta let it go. Just in case. I'll make it home tonight. No. Explaining yourself to people who didn't ask. I'm guilty of that. I resemble this remark. You post, you teach, or you speak with clarity. Someone challenges it or subtly resists. I just did that with Kia, asking me about the guy with the interview with the hat and the thing. And I caught myself finally and said, why am I saying this? She wasn't there, I was there. But the whole notion of interviewing somebody and checking their asses for having on a hat and chewing gum is like, how you do that? Like, I'm wrong. I think it's interesting how every time I hold somebody accountable to dysregulated people, tell me I'm wrong. Based upon what? Based upon what? So someone challenges you or subtly resists, and we all have been on this live, and happened Emmanuel was the most recent person. So afterward, I feel compelled to overclarify, justify, or mentally replay the interactions, which I am no longer doing. And the sgACC is reacting to perceived relational loss, not logic. Oh my goodness, that's going to be one less person that's actually doing Neuro Reps. Oh my goodness, I'm only going to have 6 people on my live instead of 7. Oh well, I have a system over here that works. It takes an untrained brain and trains the brain. It takes dysregulation and gives you regulation, and it gives you 74 principles to navigate through your day-to-day life. Because of that forcing of being in those relationships with those people, my sgACC environment is I got to put up with it and I got to keep that going because somehow I'm advantaged and other people are not. So I got to help everybody. And I got to tolerate people not doing what they need to do because what? So I have to let my sgACC know everybody got 86 billion neurons. I actually am correct. I find myself saying throughout the day, if their system was working, why is the adult population like it is right now? If what you're saying is correct, if family and friends, having them around, staying loyal to a job, staying in religious organizations that are not growing you spiritually or anything else, if that worked, why ain't it working? Why ain't it working? If it works. Because it doesn't work. What works is focusing on depression instead of saying, how do we eliminate depression forever? How do we make it so the next generation doesn't even know what depression is? There are plenty of things that used to exist that don't exist now, and we know nothing about them. It didn't work. Nobody's walking around getting, what is it, when they used to have to burn the whole house? Smallpox. I know measles is back on the rise again, but nobody has dysentery. Nobody's over here like, oh my God, look at this. You're not going to war and getting your legs sawed off while you drink motherfucking moonshine. Those things aren't taking place anymore. Yet people are still the same, doing the exact same thing. So I'm working towards not explaining myself. I've spent 50 years of having to explain myself to a bunch of dysregulated people because of the environment in which I have found myself in, around a bunch of people. As soon as I do something different, I must be wrong. And I'm getting to a point, hopefully by the end of February, I will not be explaining anything else to someone who is not in my system. Because as we know from social judgment theory, they are resisting it. Unless they get into the non-committal middle portion, they're basically just saying, I'm going against what they believe to be true. And so they're judging what I'm saying based upon their belief system instead of facts. Well, we found that even when you present them with all the facts, because of their belief system, they still will stay in their own belief system. So explaining yourself, if you find yourself explaining yourself, that's your sgACC reacting to a perceived relational loss. I'm going to lose some followers. I'm going to lose some students. I'm going to lose some people. Okay, cool. That's why I now show the levels at the front of the live. So if I lose people, I lose them at the beginning. Number 4 is emotional residue after the moment has passed. So the conversation is over, decision has been made, but your body and mood are still downshifted. Your body and your mood are still in the moment. I found myself many a time getting off a live and someone has said something, done something. I'm in the shower. I'm still playing that out over and over and then incrementally throughout my day. And that's because the sgACC keeps the emotional weather cloudy even after the storm has ended. It's still there, hovering. Number 5, I don't want to disappoint them. So the request conflicts with your standards. And you already know the correct answer, but the emotional cost of saying no feels too heavy. So the sgACC weighs loss and is greater than progress. And so you stay. You go ahead and do the thing that you know you don't want to do, i.e., in my case, going to participate in holiday shit that I no longer do. First time I said no, that was hard as hell. Don't bother me no more. What y'all doing for Thanksgiving? Nothing. What you doing for Christmas? Nothing. Doing something 4th of July? Probably got some appointments and we're going to go home. It's hard to do initially. And again, it's because of social conformity theory and social judgment theory. Everybody, all these amazing adults are forcing you to do these things. And because you have a weak cognitive and dorsal ACC, you acquiesce. And now up here and out here, the environment is not neural clear. Number 6 is hesitation before doing anything. And in my case, posting or going live. So content is ready. Monique, you have this too. Message is solid, but there's a pause. Not fear of incompetence, but fear of emotional disconnection. So the sgACC flag says, what if this cost me belonging? This topic in particular was a challenge for me because I didn't know about it. I'm still determining Subgenual, pronouncing it wrong, and now I'm here talking to you about it, and it's discomforting. And people might go, oh God, what the fuck is this? The Subgenual ACC. Here she goes again with some more extra shit. I thought it was only one ACC, Dr. Donna. I thought it was only 2. Now you're telling me it's 3 and impossible? What are you playing spades now? What's going on? Why you just can't let it go? Why are you doing all of this? Nobody is listening to you anyway. It ain't going to be but 10 people on the live. Why are you working this hard when it's only going to be 10 people here? Whole thing. And it's just costing me because I could be talking about business. I could be telling people how to get funding, government funding, get your business ready for contracts, and how you can get investors and get in front of investors and speak to them. I can tell you how to be a public speaker and get your book and get in front of audiences and get your speaker reel together and all. I can do all of that. But it's enough people out here doing that. You know what there isn't enough people out here doing? Teaching people how to brain function so you could be high functioning. That's not happening at all. All right. So you hesitate. I hesitate. And like I said, by the end of February, I'm not going to be hesitating anymore. It's not even, and there won't even be a hint of hesitation. Number 7 is re-entering old environments just to check. I've done this. Go look at the old job. Who's on LinkedIn? What they doing? Old social group. That's why I got off Facebook completely. I can't see it. I'll go look something up there on Facebook. I'll never know what it is because Facebook like, we're going to show you, but you got to get the app. And I will never have that information. Old role versions of yourself. So you go back down memory lane at a time when you was like that. You was that person. You don't want it, but you revisit it. There's not one person that I dated or was married to that I want to be back in a relationship with. So if I find myself going back down memory lane, which I have, now I know that's the sgACC doing that. So no, I can say, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. I left on purpose. Wasn't an accident. I don't do anything without a strategy. So the sgACC is attached to the emotional identity, not the outcome. If you are attached to, oh my God, I was a victim. I'm so good. My mom was crackhead. My sister used to beat me, put me in closet. That becomes your identity. And so if you don't know who you are, if you don't do the actual Neuro Rep work to find out who you actually are and use your personality, which is located in the prefrontal cortex, you go back to that because that's just emotionally who you are. Because now you got to become a person of substance. And that's what you have to do. So you just go back to that environment, that narrative. As my friend for 10 years, I suffer from depression. I suffer from depression. You don't understand, I got a lot of trauma. And it's PTSD. And this is, I'm a neurodivergent. I have mental illness. You stay there or not, that's the environment you're going to be in. Up here. You accept low-grade dissatisfaction as normal. Nothing is actively wrong. That's what I used to ask Nola, how you feeling? Ain't nothing wrong. I feel good. That's not what I asked you. But nothing is aligned either. Nothing is wrong, but nothing is aligned. People say, that's just life. No, it's not. That's mythologizing. So that's the sgACC setting a low emotional baseline and calling it stability. Nothing ain't wrong. Shit, ain't nothing bad happened today. Today was a good day. Because ain't nothing bad happened. Why is that a metric? Why is that even a measurement of anything? So yeah, just a little bit of dissatisfaction. You accepting that. And I'm over here saying set and maintain high standards. And you over here like, shit ain't that bad, doc. Shit ain't that bad. I ain't even have to punch nobody today. I ain't even have to cuss nobody out. Today was a good day. That's not a standard of excellence. That's not be the best. That's just like be here. Right here. Curb sitting. At least you ain't on the ground, right? All the way. You sitting on the curb, swinging your feet. Thinking you're doing something. Number 9. Feeling loyal to people who no longer align. We've been friends for 35 years. That's been my best friend since the 2nd grade. You got no shared values, no growth, no mutual respect for each other. But leaving feels like betrayal. I ain't got shit in common with them no more. I really don't even like them. We don't even talk no more. But leaving feels like betrayal. Not giving out my phone number to new people. Email me. Ain't nobody gonna email me. Don't nobody do that shit. It's not happening. So the sgACC equates separation with danger. Separation with danger. So I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Have you stayed somewhere too long at an organization or in a relationship because separating from them felt like danger? Yes or no? Yes. I'm asking you. Have you ever stayed longer when it was not aligned and you knew it because to leave felt like danger? Regina said yes. Nola said yes. Felt like danger. Separating from my mother and her husband. Not so much with my sister. I had made that decision sooner. But with them, hardest thing to do. Hardest thing I ever had to do in my life. Then I didn't have a problem getting divorced. I had less of a problem leaving Frito-Lay. But that doggone relationship that I had my entire life felt like danger. Danger! That's what it felt like. Now you know. So let me ask you this secondary follow-up question. Now that you know that it was the sgACC, how do you feel about that? That it was neurological. Because people are like, the heart wants what the heart wants. The heart wants what the heart wants. I don't even know where the fuck that statement came from. The heart don't know. About to be Valentine's Day. The brain knows or doesn't know what it wants. It ain't got shit to do with the heart. The heart. I feel it in my heart. You don't. You feel it up here. Love hurts. No, it don't. Since when? And for Christians, the Bible tells you the definition of love. Love is patient. Love is kind. You don't say love hurts. Where the fuck did that come from? I just hurt someone because I love him so much. It hurts me. I love him so. Emotional damage hurts. Pain hurts. Hurts people, hurt people. I ain't never seen somebody that actually loves somebody hurt them. I just love you so much that it just hurts. Stop. Don't do that. Don't do that. How do you feel about knowing that it is the sgACC that is causing you to stay and not leave? I don't want to leave, but I gotta go right now. Staying. I was pissed at first. When I found it out, I was like, again. Misusing the brain again. ain't heard shit about this sgACC. And all my people talking, ain't nobody said, and then therapists, and then psychiatrists, ain't nobody online or in person said, well, you know what's happening is actually taking place in the sgACC. Now, what we can do is we can actually update it with new information. Nobody said that. Once again, not knowing this kept me trapped. I had no awareness of my neurological connection. None of this was in my knowledge base. That is correct, Regina. And I felt that same. I said, here we go. Here we fucking go again. Here we go again. The heart wants what the heart wants. It ain't even in the heart. Damn you. Damn. It ain't even in the heart. It's not in the heart. It's in the brain. It's in the actual brain. In the prefrontal cortex. Not at all. You over here thinking something wrong with you. And you don't know your brain just got wired wrong. You got some faulty wiring. You get faulty wiring in the house, the lights flicker, the outlet won't work. Faulty wiring. And the last one is number 10, knowing the answer, but not feeling free to act. So your cognitive ACC is online, the dorsal and the cognitive are online. Your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex is clear. Miss Darlene is clear. Yet movement feels heavy. I've been wanting to start talking to my immediate family for years. Had to be 5 to 7 years before it actually happened. And I couldn't do it. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't do it. I was like, this is killing me. I don't want to feel like this. I just kept saying, I don't want to feel like this. I don't like how I feel around them. I don't like how I feel around them. I don't want to be around them. I don't like how I feel. And I kept saying it and I kept staying in it. So that heaviness is the sgACC, emotional inertia. It's just there and you don't even know why. And what we got is the experts working on it for depression. That ain't enough. Everybody ain't depressed. Some people just want to leave. Some people just want to clean slate. Cut it off. I'm done with this. Without holding it, just sitting there, just festering. And you just keep playing it over and over and over again. It's been years. You still sitting right there in it, checking back and doing all this dumb shit because this thing is dysregulated. Untrained brain. So the sgACC does not respond to, wait for it, motivation. I told y'all motivation was some bullshit. $10 billion industry. It's not going to respond. You can do it. Regina, get out of there. Monique, Donna, leave. You girl, I got you. You come stay over here with me. Come on, let's do this. We're going to have a man-free year. Affirmations. I will leave this raggedy ass man. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And logic alone. I gotta go because they are gaslighting the shit out of me. I gotta go because this manipulating is stopping me from being my best. That's logic. They don't care about me. They wouldn't even be my aftercare from the dentist, the second aftercare after getting 5 teeth pulled. Because it was Nola's first time as an adult as part of that process. They don't care. They don't really care about me. And this is how you can update it. Because I presented all this to you. But unlike the thought leaders, the podcasters, and the experts, I'm going to tell you what you can do. And that's going to be the Neuro Rep too. You can update it through repeated regulation. What do you do repeatedly? Oh, Neuro Reps. Consistent follow through. And identity aligned action over time. So you have to tell it something new. That's the answer. You got to do something new and you got to tell it something new. So you can't just say, we got to leave. You got to say, I'm not explaining myself anymore to people online that are not in my system. We don't do that anymore. We update it. We talk to people in the system. I'm not going anywhere long term, getting in relationships with people who are not in my system, because I got 50 years of knowing that shit don't work. So I don't do that. And over time and in time, it gets weaker, be well, Nola, and it gets balanced. It becomes regulated. So you are creating an environment where your emotions are there, your feelings are there, feeling free to feel them without this negativity bias cloud that is existing. That's what needs to take place. So you got to start talking to Becky 1 and 2, because they're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. Becky 1 and 2 are like Amy and Lala. You're going to have to regulate them. You're going to have to say, we don't find ourselves talking to dysregulated people for the sake of having friends and family. That's not what we do, Becky 1 and 2. We don't do that. We don't stay in an emotional environment that's causing us to be depressed. We don't keep checking back to see what the ex is doing. We don't keep looking back at the people that we worked with at the job. We grow forward. We focus on what we are actually doing, and we align it. Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers is not Donna Thomas-Rodgers, and Donna Thomas-Rodgers was not Donna Thomas, and Donna Thomas is not Dee Dee from the D anymore, or Donna T. I'm me. Evolve past all of that. And so this isn't a matter of saying, well, I'm never going to talk about them again. No, you can as a reference point, but don't be there emotionally forever. Don't go back there, because when you keep doing it again and again, you're reliving that experience, and the brain thinks, oh, we're back there. We're back there again. No, we're not. No. That's why if you ever stop talking to somebody and you talk back to them again, you see them for who they actually are. And you go, ooh, well, that's different. Did they always talk like that? Did they look like, is that how they sound? Is that the house I lived in? That's what I was doing at Freedom Life? For me, going back and seeing all of the senior VPs and everything else and reading their LinkedIn and their bio and everything, I was like, it felt like they was doing a lot more than what's here. Why did it feel so much bigger at the time? So yes, if you are depressed, people will be focused on your sgACC. You're still going to be depressed, but you'll have some better access to some medication. And you can buy some really nice leather-bound journals. It's not going to change anything. Because what I haven't seen is a person that was depressed stop being depressed completely. No more. They had, I have my good days, I have my bad days. I have some, it's better. I'm up and at them, and I shower regularly now, and I'm eating better foods and stuff. But it's still there. No shit, Sherlock, you don't say. It's still there? Really? What y'all doing about that in therapy? What's happening with that? Well, we're working on it. We got some, I got some woosahs. I got some affirmations that didn't I just say you can't get rid of it? And then I put on some gospel music in the morning, some hip hop to motivate myself to get up out the bed. Hey. All you doing is feeding it. It's getting bigger and bigger, but you're doing all the shit that is like that. Subgenual ACC is like, fuck about none of that shit. I ain't changing nothing. You ain't said the magic words. You ain't did the magic actions. So I'm gonna be here. I'm setting up shop here. That's what I'm gonna do. So here is your am I gonna do that? No. So the VACC can be overridden quickly with clarity. That's the social one. And the sgACC requires repetition and consistency to update. So you can just give the VACC, I'm not in that relationship anymore. I don't go to, if you were alcoholic, I don't go to wet places. So you can speak facts to it. But the sgACC is going to take time. You're going to have to build a new environment. Build a new environment. So one good decision does not change the sgACC. Daily aligned action is how you recalibrate it. So you can't say, I'm not going to be depressed anymore. You're going to have to take some real action every single day besides taking some medication and journaling. If you say, I'm never going back to dating again because it's not going to work for me, then you don't do any of those actions to find yourself back in those situations again. So you're going to have to recalibrate it in an environment that you actually want, a neural clear environment. That's why I say you got to get rid of the toxicity so that you can have neural clarity. So again, so we understand it. This is the real leadership translation, not the clinical translation. The VACC is relationship pools. The sgACC is that emotional gravity that you're covering around that whole environment. And the cognitive ACC is course correction. High functioning adults don't erase their emotions, okay? We use the Empower Cognitive ACC to update emotional set points over time. We got that? Are we clear? I'm trying to get to the actual Neuro Rep. Is it under this? Because I'm just doing no. Let me go back up. So your Neuro Rep assignment for today is you're going to identify one action that you've been delaying due to. Okay. Give me 1 second. So which ACC part? So the ventral ACC is the relationship pool. That's people saying social conformity theory. Come over here with this relationship. The sgACC is the gravity of all of that. It's the environment in which your emotions sit in. So it's heavy. It's a lot. It's like, this is the weight of everything. And then the cognitive ACC is the course correction. So it's saying you're not depressed. We do not have to stick around those people. We do not have to keep feeling the feelings that we had. We don't have to keep, in my case, justifying our existence. We don't have to do any of that. And so we're going to do this instead. So you're recalibrating the sgACC. So if you just think about it, if you're around people, that's the VACC. If you are up here feeling something, that's the sgACC. And if you are taking action, then that's the cognitive and doral ACC. They're the ones who are going to say, okay, this is right, this is wrong. Let's make some decisions and send it on through the decision-making process of the brain. So if you, as an adult, if you say, I'm afraid, I'm stuck, and something is wrong with me, that narrative, that's that narrative, that negative speak. You say, I'm afraid, I'm stuck, something is wrong with me. Then what's happening is the VACC is loud, the sgACC is outdated, and the cognitive ACC hasn't been given the authority long enough. So in essence, you have the VACC and the subgenual ACC running shit, just like a dysregulated system has Amy and Lala, and then the cognitive is down here. So anytime you find yourself saying things that are not true, feeling bad and all of that, that's because there's disalignment. So the more you repeat and strengthen your cognitive and doral ACC, the more aligned you're going to be because the wrong group is in charge again. Stay with those friends. Stay in that environment. Even after you stop being friends with them, see, you should still have some friends. Go ahead and check back because they could have changed. Why don't you just go back and look on Facebook and see what they're doing? Because we'll just let them know that you're here if they need you. If they ever decide to change, let them know that they can come back and y'all can be friends. That's the VACC and the sgACC working together. Well, if you ever want to come by for dinner, because we said, we celebrate Christmas every year, you're welcome to come back. I'm good. I'm not coming back. Y'all can have all this shit. I'm good. Let me know if I've answered your question, Regina. So the Neuro Rep for today is you identify one action you've been delaying due to emotional heaviness. You complete the action without explaining, checking, or seeking reassurance. You're going to identify one action you've been delaying due to emotional heaviness. Complete the action without explaining, checking, or seeking reassurance. Every time I put level 1 through 5 up there, my Subgenual ACC is creating an environment of rejection for me because everybody that I knew prior to now rejected everything that I said. That's why I started at the beginning of the lives and I keep it up there because I'm letting my sgACC know I'm not in that environment anymore. I'm not in that environment anymore. I am in the environment that I created that is regulated with trained brains. And so for the people who are non-commitment, they don't have social judgment theory, this information is for them. DJ Jenny, good morning. I am new and lost. I will look at your old posts to try to understand. Okay. Perhaps you might want to go to LinkedIn as well so you can understand the work it is that I do. I'm basically in summation, so you can at least get a baseline at a minimum, is I am an educator and I am teaching adults how the brain functions so that they can be high functioning. Today's topic is a region of the brain, the subgenual ACC, which is part of the anterior cingulate cortex. So it's broken down into 3 different portions. You can go back and look at the other 2 labs about that on Saturday. I will be summarizing all of them. So you were not taught how your brain functions in elementary school, middle school, high school. You might have took some psychology classes in college, but that does not help you understand how your brain functions so you can be high functioning. So with that and leadership, my doctorate is in leadership. I teach adults how to actually be the CEO of Me Incorporated, their own life, and understand the functionality of their brain so they can be high functioning. So you can understand why you're doing something or not, and which brain region is impacting your ability to do it or your inability to get it done. That's the summation of it. So that's your Neuro Rep. Go ahead and get the brain bit. I'm going to switch. There we go. Green screen. So today's brain bit is the trained brain, untrained brain versus the trained brain. Let me go ahead and flip myself out of here. Okay. Well, look at the untrained brain versus the trained brain. There is a difference. There's a difference. So the untrained brain reacts first and explains later. Runs on habit, emotion, and old loops. Everything is implicit and it's coming from the basal ganglia. Seeks comfort and avoids effort, and lets the environment decide the outcome, which goes against the principle of real leadership, be a thermostat, not a thermometer. I'll repeat that again. The untrained brain reacts first, explains later, runs on habit, emotion, and old loops, seeks comfort and avoids effort, and lets the environment decide the outcome. Now, the trained brain, on the other hand, pauses, evaluates, and then chooses. Uses effort on purpose. Updates old loops when new data appears, which is what I'm doing today. And it directs behavior toward a chosen result, which is why I tell you don't do anything without a why and don't do anything without a strategy, because all of that takes place in the prefrontal cortex. Again, the trained brain pauses, evaluates, and then chooses. Uses effort on purpose, updates old loops with new data. The principle of real leadership that goes with that is grow continually and challenge yourself, and then directs behavior towards a chosen result. So here is what you can think about. An untrained brain is like a phone on factory settings. Every notification controls it. A trained brain is updated, customized, and locked, and then you decide what gets in. Any of us who have a smartphone, you got all that bloat on your phone, first thing you do is start taking apps off, adding apps that work. You have an iPhone or the new phones now, you might be doing facial recognition, finger recognition, and all of that, and you customize that phone so that it matches you. If you have to get a new phone, you're like, damn, I got to do all this again. But that phone, when it first comes, especially if it's your first phone, is in default. And it just does what it was programmed to do. So training strengthens regulation and decision circuits. The Neuro Rep strengthen your brain. Repetition builds efficiency, and what you practice becomes your default. So you have an untrained brain. We're born with the untrained brain, and it's hardwired for negativity, bias, and emotional dysregulation. And it is your responsibility to customize your brain. I got that default brain, like that default phone, and now it's your responsibility to train the brain so that you can benefit it from your own daily focused decisions every single day so that you can be your best. And the final graphic for today are the 2 questions that we always answer. which is, what did you learn today and what did you learn about yourself? What did you learn today and what did you learn about yourself? And before you answer, as always, you're going to type an ellipse, a thinking emoji, a brain emoji, something to let me know that you're answering the question and that you're thinking. Answering these two questions are going to do several things. Number one is going to train your brain to think before you respond, giving you time in moments in reality to calm down. Any cortisol that comes, you can push it back down with 10 significant seconds of silence, and then you're going to answer the question. You're going to respond versus react. The question in and of itself is, what did you learn today? Because when you are focused on training your brain, you are focused on learning something every single day so that you can go to sleep wiser than when you woke up. That is your real leader expectation. And then secondarily, what did you learn about yourself? That does two things. In your default mode network, when you are in an untrained, dysregulated system, your brain will mind wander, ruminate, and daydream. When you are training your brain and you are creating a regulated emotional center, you will think about yourself and you will be self-reflective. And that is what that question is doing. It's training the brain to say, what did I learn about myself today? So that you naturally become self-reflective. That is what is taking place. So Daisy is thinking, Regina is thinking. What did you learn today? And what did you learn about yourself? I got caught up in the lesson, so go ahead and drink water again. I think this is only the second time today. Regina said, I learned about the Subgenual ACC brain. Yes, it's the ACC. So it's three. The VACC, the sgACC, and then the cognitive dorsal ACC. And that explains pretty much, for me currently, the rest of that emotional shit that I couldn't put my finger on. Emotional shit is a neuroscience term. It is. I think Goji and Kahal were talking about it. No, they weren't. They were doing staining and neuron doctoring. It's empowering. Empower others is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. Noah said, I learned neuroscientists are wired to negativity bias. Thank you, Nola. Okay, that's a good takeaway. Got it. That's their job, to see what's wrong with the brain so they can fix it. Looking for diseases. So it can help support and get brains to a functioning level. Daisy said, I learned today that the subgenual is linked to depression. Subgenual. I keep saying June, no, because how I'm mixing the E and the U. Subgenual. I will get it just like adenosine and dopaminergic and parasympathetic and sympathetic. All words that were difficult for me to pronounce. Corpus callosum, because I was saying corpus callosum. It's only one A, not two. And DJ, I think, is going to say something. D Jenny 9566. Nola, I learned about myself between the left amygdala and the subgenual ACC is how I end up focusing on old stuff. Yep, that left damn amygdala is going to go straight to the hippocampus and remind you of all the bad shit. And then the subgenual is just going to host it. D Jenny 9566, I don't have the terms, but I got to do the work and think about what I am thinking about. Challenge those thoughts. Don't just take them and run with them. Yes, and if you want to do the work, you can go on Instagram and sign up for a 7-day free trial to start Neuro Reps. My Instagram is Turnaround Doctor, just like YouTube and TikTok. Regina said about myself that for decades, my subgenual ACC has been controlling my life. Can't change the past. Wish I had known this earlier, but I appreciate the knowledge. My pleasure, Regina. I'm just happy we know now, right? Well, whatever time we got left. I am happy to know now. We've got to remember to create more highlights. Regina said, I also realized that leaving my ex in the environment many years ago helped to reset the sgACC. Yes, ma'am. Yes, it did. Because instinctively, your cognitive and dorsal ACC were literally saying, we got to go. This is a mismatch. This is conflict. We don't need to stay here. We got to get out of here. And so you actually listened and were able to recover from that. And that's their role, is to say, this doesn't match. Now we need to do something differently, because this doesn't work for us. At least 1 minute of the content is needed. I thought that was 1 minute. And Daisy said, I learned about myself today that I should know how to connect all the brain functions. Well, not necessarily should. Okay. I don't know what's happening. Got it. You will learn as I learn, because no one let me come back, because I think all y'all answered the question. The whole point is this, ladies and gentlemen. The brain is complicated. Don't get it twisted. I'm scouring the earth to find this information because it's just not readily available. And as I continue to say this, like I said, you got all these posters right here with concepts and ideas. And now I got to go research and find out how this impacts your day-to-day decision making. And so this information isn't available. If the only thing that's available about the ACC is, it says conflict monitoring and all that. And now I start researching something from my mother, and then I find out, well, damn, the ACC doing more than just conflict monitoring and cleaning up messages to send to the ventral medial prefrontal cortex, because all the regions have more than one function. So now I'm putting this together because what people haven't been able to do is to say, how do we empower the adult brain to be self-sustaining? How do we teach you these very complicated terms and these different regions of the brain so that it's palatable for you to use in everyday life, not in a lab with a pen and a pad, but in your everyday life under pressure? How do you get that done? 15 years ago, it was impossible. First of all, neuroscientists weren't giving us the information. Nobody was. And then now it's possible because of social media and the internet and AI. That's how it's possible now. So it wasn't even possible when you were getting your divorce, Regina, because the information wasn't even available at the therapy level. I am crying now, and I have no idea why, feeling overwhelmed, but not knowing. Well, you're breaking through some stuff. That I am learning how to connect the brain foundations. Yes, Daisy. Yes, ma'am. So you actually need to start doing Neuro Reps, because that's what's going to strengthen your brain. Listening is not enough, and that's what we learned on the TikTok live, is that it's not enough. Go ahead, Regina. Have a great day. You don't need my permission to leave, but have a great day yourself. So that's the whole point. When you learn how your brain functions, you become high functioning, and now you can use this amazing resource in your day-to-day life so you can function at a very high level. This is how you learn. They didn't know. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. So don't feel bad, because none of us knew at all. But I will say, if I had to stay with social conformity theory and I listened to all those people, we still wouldn't know. If I didn't go, we still wouldn't know. I had the backlash and that ain't gonna make no money and all that. I've been out of my corporate job for 15 years and people been telling me this ain't gonna work. And I didn't listen. My cognition said, fuck y'all. You don't believe, I can leave. But I'm not about to not be doing what I said I was gonna do. What I need to do, what instinctively, neurologically doing what I knew was the right thing to do. And this is the right thing to do. So I will be here day in and day out, God willing, higher power in the universe, teaching adults how their brain functions so that you don't have to feel like this cognitive dissonance that you had. You don't have to feel this conflict. You can do something about it in your own brain neurologically without impacting anybody else. We came here to do great and amazing things, and we need to know how our brain functions so we can be high functioning. That's how it has to work. You had to go to driver's training in order to learn how to drive. If anybody has certifications, OTR drivers, nurses, Daisy, you're a seamstress, you have to get certifications. We need to know how our brain functions. Then we're going to be able to use it. We're going to understand what's taking place when you're in your default mode network. You're not going to be mind wandering, daydreaming, ruminating in the sgACC. You're going to be self-reflecting because you know what all those things are. And that's the whole point of the work that I do. So if anybody feels like it's time that they're actually ready, you can go to Instagram. Turn around, doctor, message me. I will tell you how to start your 7-day, 60-second neural reps, because that's the only way you're going to learn how your brain functions. You will not know how it functions because the people who are actually teaching this are not functioning at this high level themselves. They're very specialized in what they do. No disrespect to their work. I'm using some of their work to get the information in the first place. It's not wrong. It's just incomplete. And we need to get to the next level in this process. And this is the next level. Adults in 2026 need to know how their brain functions. We can't be left behind because we actually are running the world in theory with dysregulated, untrained brains. And it doesn't have to be that way. I got to go because I got to pee and I got to get y'all neural reps up. And I've been talking. And you couldn't even tell that I went to the dentist yesterday and had a bunch of dental work done. So shout out to my dentist. He did a good job. And it's going to be this way for the next 3 Wednesdays after this, somewhere around there. Skipping one because he'll be on vacation and then going back. At any rate, I am Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers. I will be back tomorrow, God willing, higher power and the universe. Same time, same place, safe space. Different brain t-shirt. These t-shirts are available on my Amazon shop. Should you decide to go and start wearing brain t-shirts, you can. You can start having brain conversations. Go to turnaroundwithdoctor.com. Click on the Amazon shop at the bottom or the left menu and get a brain t-shirt and take some action towards that. And your neural reps will be at 6:41 for me. They will be ready by 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, if you are ready to start learning how your brain functions and do neural reps, message me on Instagram. That's where level 1 starts. You all go off and have a brain-tastic day. Thank you for your time and your space today. Adios.